Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. DJ here, hands-on SAP Dev with Q Macro. It's Friday. I'm quite amazed that I've managed to start the live stream this morning. All sorts of issues with the Catalina upgrade, not just the issues I had this morning earlier with trying to run Java. You know why I'd be running Java anyway, I don't know. But anyway, I needed to run the old build tool, which is Java jar, and macOS won't let me run Java anymore, which, you know, maybe is a good thing, I don't know. Anyway, good morning, and thank you so much for joining. I can see Max, who I thought was at the Code Jam, but it starts at 1 p.m. That's really nice. In fact, yeah, we did a Code Jam, another Code Jam. Was it in Mechelen or in Utrecht, where we started at 1 p.m. as well on a Friday, which was good. Yeah, anyway, that's good. I should have a lot of fun. Fred, good morning. Günaydin. Hussein, how are you? Good to see you on stream. And Gregor, good morning. Good morning. So, yeah, I'm just slightly what's going on because of all this sort of, you know, I've been hacking on, trying to get OBS to work and to stay up and everything. So thank you, Apple, for that Catalina upgrade. Good morning, Mahesh. Anyway, I've got my coffee. I've got my SAP Inside Track Frankfurt 5th anniversary mug I'm drinking my coffee from. Peoples, good morning, Volker. Good morning. So yes, thank you so much for joining. We're going to do some sort of random things today. I want to introduce you to a new repo and a new sort of home for CAP, but also want to talk about what stuff I want to be doing over the next few episodes. You know, not moving away entirely from CAP, but I want to explore other things as well, especially given, you know, what the themes at TechEd were recently. And also, if you've got any thoughts on what you saw at TechEd, let me know in the chat here. I'm back to my old way of broadcasting, which is I've got my 4K screen here, and I'm using the Amethyst window manager, and I've got my tiling to set up to be a tall right. So I've got a 1080p size window, which is a quarter of the 4K screen. Sorry, I just hit the microphone there. I apologize. And that's being broadcast now. So the fan noise on my laptop, which I've been having problems with, is certainly definitely still there, but it's a lot better because, of course, it's not trying to encode and stream 4K. So there we go. Before I dive in, and before I move away from this sort of main chat view with the camera, just a reminder, I saw some of you at SAP TechEd, which was great. And also I mentioned it on the previous stream. I've got these badges from TechEd, which I showed in a previous episode. I won't show them. So I've got a lot of badges to give away. The reason I haven't sent any yet is because I've been traveling for TechEd Barcelona, and I've just been down in the south of England looking after my mum who broke her arm. But most excitingly, importantly, from Mr. Roni Sletter, we have some amazing hands-on SAP Dev stickers, laptop stickers. So thank you, Ronnie. Kudos and salute and everything. I don't think Ronnie's on the stream. Is he on the stream? I don't. Not joined yet. I don't know. Oh, hi, Ronnie. Yes. Sorry. Of course, I'm looking at the people chatting, not the people. I can't see who's on the stream. Maybe I can somehow. I don't know. So Ronnie, awesome work. Thank you so much on behalf of our family here. So I've got around about probably 70. Gave some away at TechEd, which was awesome. And also, when you get them, you've got to tweet this hashtag, tweet a picture of it on your laptop with hashtag hands-on-SAP-dev and any other hashtag you want. So I've got some of these to give away. I've also, down to my last few, but I've also got a few of the developers.sap.com laptop stickers, these long ones, which I think are quite nice. And I think they're going to be a rarity because I think they're doing some more different ones, but we've got these Cloud Application Programming Model stickers, which are quite cool in that they are sort of transparent. All the main background's transparent. I would show you my laptop, but it's under there. But it does wear off a little bit, but you know, it's quite cool when it sort of gets old. So I've got, you know, that many. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to pick this one up. As I mentioned before, send me please, and I know some people have sent me already, so thank you for that. Send me on a direct message on Twitter, on a private direct message. Don't send your address out loud. And I'll get round next week to posting some stuff out. So, you know, badges and stickers and so on. Depending on how many people I get requests from, I can, you know, divide up the stickers accordingly. So thank you again to Ronnie. What a superstar. Also, Ronnie and I have been talking about other swag, t-shirt swag, that we're going to do via something like Spreadshirt, you know, just like Uwe Fetzer does with his ABAP's Not Dead, and also Denise Naprownik, or Nerd Pronic. She's had some amazing t-shirts done via Spreadshirt as well. I got one of those code t-shirts. Deprice, that's your new name. Anyway, lots of chat here. How are we doing? Yes, so Gregor has just posted a link to SAP Inside Track Munich, which is, when is it, Gregor? Is it tomorrow? I guess it's tomorrow, Saturday. I'm not looking at my watch for. And today there is a pre-event Code Jam, SAP Code Jam, run by the one and only Max Streifeneder, who's also on the stream. Hi, Max. He's at home today. Yes, so thank you, Gregor. So the Inside Track is tomorrow, and today, starting at 1 p.m, there's a Code Jam on CAP. So yeah, Max is running that. Thank you, Ronnie. We've got two different styles of stickers. You can't probably see it on the video here. One is solarized color, and one is sort of a white on black. Subtle difference, but very important difference for us nerds. So there we go. What's that tweet there? Lucky me. I won't click it because I'm not sure what the window will do. Right. Okay. So let me get on with the first thing. Anyone news? So yeah, let me know what you thought of the Cloud Application Programming Supermodel. Yes, Max is our Cloud Application Programming Supermodel. It'd be quite nice to see. Maybe actually, Ronnie, if you could find some tweet URLs where you had those pictures of Max, put them in the chat, and I'll put them on the stream here because I think it deserves some widespread appreciation. So Max has got some stickers, the developers.sap.com stickers, which are super nice, I think. There's a developer.sap.com sticker on the bar in my local bottle shop and bar in Ashton, stuck on the bar, which is very, very important. Right, let me switch to the main scene here. And while I wait for your thoughts on SAP TechEd and the sorts of takeaways that you got, I would love to hear them in the stream, and let's talk about them. I wanted to introduce you to something that Gregor and Volker and other people put together. I think Gregor created it initially, so thank you, Gregor. And that is a new repo on GitHub. Oh, hi, Pilfer Z. QMacro is like AHK, I'm assuming. I'm not quite sure what you mean there with that question. I don't know what AHK is. If you let me know what you're asking, maybe I can answer. So, but welcome, by the way. You're more than welcome to be with us and everything. I'm not sure what AHK is. Auto hotkey. Auto hotkey is what like auto hotkey? Sorry, maybe I've not had enough coffee yet. I'm using different keyboard bindings for my Amethyst window manager. Maybe that's what we're talking about here. So maybe I missed a chat somewhere. So I apologise for that. I'm not sure what is like auto hotkey, but anyway, let me know. I'm sure you will. So there we go. So Ronnie has posted a link. There we go. Let's move it across there and get rid of that one, can't I? Yes. There we go. Oh, yes. That's the one. And we also had, yes, there we go. We also had this one from, I'm hoping this is a picture of Max, a very stylized cloud application programming supermodel, I would say. Yes, there we go. Look at that. Look at that. Max, you are now famous on the stream. There we go, and rightly so. There we go. So that's quite big. I'm going to get rid of that now. Sorry, Max. We had an opportunity to speak to Daniel Hutzel, the chief product owner. Is that what the CPO, chief product owner? Or basically the father of CAP. At TechEd, we had a couple, maybe 2 or 3 little huddles in like meetings, unconference in the unconference area of the Developer Garage and SAP community area. And QMacro, yes, QMacro is my handle. Yes, sorry, Pilfer Z. QMacro is my handle. It's an old SAP R2 term. I picked that a long time ago, obviously, because I thought nobody else would pick it. And it's been okay so far. Yeah, it's a very, very old term. And yes, Daniel is on Twitter, Aragon X. But it hasn't really posted anything. But it's good to know that Daniel's on Twitter. So in that meeting, we decided that it would be good to have a sort of community space where we can sort of work together and communicate also with Daniel and the team. I'm sure Gregor will also add in the chat other thoughts on that. And this has sort of grown, in a small way, really nicely. There's nothing major about this, but you can see here, if you go to bit.ly cap-com, that thing there is the link, and I think actually I put that in the we've put that here. There we go. Yes, the canonical short link to this CAP community home is bit.ly cap-com. I seem to remember Daniel likes all lowercase with dashes, which I quite like as well. I do like Daniel's style of programming as well, which I showed a little bit of in SAP Inside Track Riga a few weeks ago. Yes, exactly. Use bit.ly cap-com if you share. So yeah, if you haven't already, go here and start having a look around. This has got some sort of helps as to where to go. I will add a link to this live stream information as well, how to get on the hands-on SAP Dev live stream. Obviously, you all know. And we have in there, I think Volker, you had an issue here, so you posted a way to reproduce that issue in this sort of issues subdirectory called structured types. So I think the general idea is that if you have an issue that you want to post a question about on the SAP community Q&A, which I think is linked somewhere here. Yes, post pure questions. If you have a problem, then please make sure you enable people who are trying to answer it to be able to reproduce your problem scenario easily. So that's a really nice way of doing it. Stick it here, and at the same time, additional comments. Put your calculated field example. Oh yes, calculate. Yes, I forgot about that. Yes, I will. So thank you, Volker. Hey, good morning, Srikanth. Welcome. Yeah, Volker, that's a really good point. And that brings me nicely on to this thing here, which is a directory I created a couple of days ago, deep insert. Now on the there we go. There was a question on the SAP community. It's been deleted. I think I can see it because I'm administrator. But anyway, it's been deleted. It doesn't really matter because I was thinking, oh yeah, okay. How would one best answer that question? And I thought that's quite an interesting question about deep inserts. How do you do deep inserts? So I thought I'll try and answer that. And basically, by the time I'd got around to putting an example together, the question had been deleted. I don't know why it's been deleted, but that's cool. If it's deleted, it's deleted. But I just wanted to show you the context there. So I thought, right, okay, well, one way to answer a question is, in text and paste in some sort of, formatted code in the answer, which is, okay. But a better way is to provide a running example. So I thought the first thing we might do this morning, I want to move on to other stuff as well, but the first thing I might do this morning, at least for the next 10 minutes is have a look at deep inserts. And have a play around with a couple of CDS mechanisms that are related but different, okay, and they have an effect on how deep inserts work, okay, and generally relationships between entities. You know, when you're, I don't know whether it's coffee, whether I'm tired or not tired, but you know, when you're sort of, you know, like in that cartoon where a character runs off a cliff and he's continuing running, and then he realizes he's like, you know, there's nothing below him. I just feel like my brain feels like that at the moment. I think it's because of all the panic with Catalina and OBS not working and what's going on, and but anyway, so I feel a bit weird. Anyway, so I apologize in advance. So yeah, what I wanted to do is to take you through this deep insert solution or sample solution to show you how I personally would like you also, if you provided a solution for people, how that might work in terms of putting something in this repo. And of course you can fork the repo. The way to contribute, of course, on GitHub on a repo, and I'm sure Volker and Gregor will explain. In fact, I've just seen Gregor explaining. Yeah, exactly. Gregor, you and I are on the same wavelength right now. Fork the repo, and I've already forked it, okay? And I'll show you what that means in a minute. And then I can make changes to my fork, my copy of this repo, in a branch. I can push that branch back to GitHub and then open a pull request to this repo here, where administrators like Gregor and Volker can say, yes, we'll have that, thank you very much, or we would like that, but can you just change this because it's not quite right, and so on. So, you know, a great way to contribute, and it's the normal way that, you know, developers contribute and work with each other in the open source community. So it's great. So yeah, if you have anything to contribute, please simply fork, create a branch, improve, and then send a pull request. There are lots of tutorials out there on how to contribute to a repo by the fork method. There's GitHub have written some really nice, easy stuff to follow. So I would definitely recommend, if you do one thing after this or during this live stream, just hit the fork button here, fork it, and then start. So actually, I'm going to hit fork. I've already forked it, so it should tell me I've already forked it. Yes, you've already forked Cap Community. So there's my fork. Can you see here that it says Q Macro Cap Community, forked from SAP Mentors Cap Community, and I've got a number of changes, and I'm keeping it's now even. I just did some work this morning to pull back the changes that I'd pushed and had been accepted in the pull request to the upstream. Anyway, if necessary, we can sort of do that on a live stream, maybe on a Wednesday live stream in the afternoon, where we go through you know, forking, making a change, making a pull request, keeping things up to date. If that would be something that would be useful, then let me know. So, no idea what the stream about. I've got the gift of the gab. Is that a? I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you, Pilfer Z. Yeah, SAP is the third biggest software company in the world. About 100,000 employees worldwide, and we build software for enterprises, business software. So basically, you know, most things in the world. I mean, this is my generalization, but you know, a good 3/4 of the things in the world, cars, beer, chocolate, etc., are manufactured and produced by processes that are controlled by SAP software. And it's a really nice developer community as well. I'll move this microphone back. I keep hitting the microphone. I'll move this microphone back a little bit. And the developer community is great. It's got some awesome people, like for example, the folks on this live stream, and the SAP community in general. So yeah, welcome. So let me have a look at, let me show you what's in this deep insert thing. So if you create an example, stick it as a subdirectory in this examples directory. We can always reorganize later. And what I would encourage you to do is put a README in there, okay, with how to try this example out. So this is something I'm making up as I go along, but this is how to try the deep insert out, and it just shows a little bit here. So let's do that now, okay. Let me bring in the terminal, and I'm already in the Cap community. So this is my fork. And in fact, I'll show you in here. This is my fork, and we can see in the examples we've got this deep insert folder. Okay, so let's go to examples, deep inserts. And the README basically says get to the right place first of all, which is examples deep insert. And in there, just like we've had with other CAP projects, and keeping them really, really simple, the simplest thing that could possibly work. Who said that? Ward Cunningham. We've got a CAP project, Node.js. We've got a very simple schema in the DB folder, and that schema looks like that. We've got a headers. Let me go into the editor, so we've got a nice, slightly more color coding. Although I'm using the nerd theme, so it's quite subtle. We've got. I'm moving to like a simpler namespace rather than my.this, my.that. I'm just using demo namespace. And so we've got a headers entity, and we've got an items entity. Header and items, classic sort of combination of two entities that belong together as parent-child relationship or parent-children relationship. We are Helmut. Good morning. We are in the hipster tech Node CDS CAP. Yes, exactly. We are. Yes, definitely. Have a look, Pilfer at the courses and the tutorials, and there's open.sap.com as well. It's a brilliant space to be in, I think. Anyway, so the syntax is designed. Yes, this is the core data services or core data and services, and it's designed to be this abstract, declarative, beautifully pure language that describes, as you can see here, entities and relationships between entities that can be translated into the underlying persistence layer syntax, like SQL, for example. Hipstech, yes, Hussein, Hipstech. I quite like that word, hipstech.com. So anyway, here we've got, very simply, we've got headers, which has been described by the CUID aspect, which will give it a UUID style key. It's also got the created by, updated by, created on, updated by on fields as well, properties, I should say properties really. And it's got this relationship to items, which goes down to here, which also has this CUID key field. And remember, the CUID key field enables you to either supply a UUID as a key explicitly when you when you send a post request to create an entity, for example, or if you don't supply one will be supplied for, one will be generated for you. Okay, but how many people have noticed we've been playing around with the bookshop example and the authors, and there's been this association to, right? So a book is associated with an author and vice versa. Hipstech.com is for sale. Why has nobody got that? That's awesome, Hussein. Nice work there. Nice work. So we've been playing around with associations lots. Okay. So of course there's an association between a book and an author, and it can be a 2-1 association or a too-many association. But here we're using a composition. And I think some people have used compositions before, but some other people might not have come across composition. And basically, if we have a look, actually, in one of the resources that's pointed to by the, where are we? Let's go back here. In fact, let's navigate through this. There's the official documentation, which is cap.cloud.sap. And if we go there and search for composition, there's a little bit of information about it in, for example, the CDS definition language. If we look at where are we? Associations, we see general information. Well, let's go straight to associations. General information about associations, unmanaged associations, managed to one, managed to many. But there's also compositions, right? This is what we're doing here, and it says it represents a contained in relationship. So where you have something like a child of type that can only really exist sensibly in the context of its parent, then you can use a composition, okay? Because a book can exist and an author can exist and so on. And when the author can exist without any books, the book can exist even when the author has passed away, etc. So that's an association. Although composition, if you have a purchase order, they've got some items, if you delete the purchase order header, those items, don't make any sense on their own, okay? $2,395 for Hipstech. Wow, okay, let's not buy it then. So this is an association. So let me bring this back up again, and oops, there we go. This is an association, and sorry, this is a competition. And what that means is that when we delete header, the associated or the composed in items will be deleted as well. Anyway, here's an example of what you need to do. So let me, and that's all that's in there. Okay, let's come back out here. I've been talking a lot, haven't I? So let's go here. We've got a main service, which again we've seen before. I'm exposing just deliberately and simply both the headers and the items so we can look at them separately. And that really is all there is to this particular package here. In fact, I'm not even using that SQLite database here because I'm going to do it in memory as the documentation, as this thing says. So, in fact, let's read me. As it says here, install dependencies and run in memory. So let's do that now. So npm install, let's do that separately. I've got the gift of the gab. I'm still thinking about that. Anyway, okay, so and then cds run in memory. Now this is a way of sort of using SQLite, but just in a sort of an in-memory SQLite style. So let's do that. That's quite nice. I don't think we've played with that before, but that is definitely a possibility. And now I'm going to open this this link. Of course, we can see here. If I bring that in. There we go. We've got the normal thing. There's no items and there's no headers. Okay, that's fine. In fact, that's probably the last time we'll look at this particular sort of HTML, rendering of stuff. Let's instead go back and bring in a new. Let's do a new pane in Tmux. Let's go to 10, let's move into step. So we can say here curl, if we want to create an item, in fact I've got one here, curl, no, not that one, wait a minute, what are we doing here? Header 1, there we go, there. I was playing around with this before and also I wanted to capture this. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a deep insert. So in here we've got, where are we? There we go. We're posting, making a post request. It's implicit post. I could specify, for example, here x post to say use the method post, but it's implicit with the fact that we're using -d further down here to specify some data. Okay, so I'm posting to the headers entity set. Okay, so this is going to be an OData create operation. I've got to pass my content type. I'm doing that explicitly. I did tweet the other day about having an alias where I use curl where the -h header for content type is already given. And then I'm going to supply, in fact, if I move up here again, let's do this and cd, let's go back to github.com, q macro, cat community, examples, deep insert, vim, what's it called? What do we want? Oh yes, so we've got the schema. There we go, perfect. So now we can see what we're posting into. So we've got headers with an identifier. Okay, so the first thing we send as JSON, of course, is the data that we want to post to headers, where we've got a property identifier, which is up there, which is a string, header 1. And then we've got the items, and the items is a composition. And this would also work for an association. So we can send an array of things, okay, an array of objects. And the first object is going to be an item. So that has data. Okay, so that's this thing up here, data. Okay, and that data is A. And we're also going to send in the same array to items, we're going to send a second item. So I'm going to create a header with 2 children, okay? A header with 2 items. It's conversation here. Should it be items instead of lowercase items? Well, exactly. That's a great question from Gregor, and also a great answer from Fred and some programming dude. Some programming dude, I really should know who you are. It doesn't matter. so I apologize, so exactly, the entity type items just here by convention is uppercased and pluralized. However, the property that points to or that represents the association, basically the navigation property, is normally in lowercase. I have seen examples where it's in uppercase, but I think the better way to do it is to have a lowercase here. Dave, thank you, Dave. Thank you, David. Sorry. There we go. So that's that. So I'm in the presence of multiple genii. So thank you for joining, David, and everybody else as well. So anyway, I'm going to post this now and see what happens. There we go. That's quite cool. But I'm also going to do another one as well. Header 2 and data C and data D. And I'm also going to pipe it into JQ because JQ, because it's awesome. And that will give us a bit of a nicer output. Okay, so what we can see has happened here is that we've got the response from, in fact, let me do that again as well, because I want to show you the what's it called, the HTTP headers. So I'll do -v for verbose, I think. Yes. There we go. So we got here, what we sent was this post request, and of course, curl calculated the name, the length of the content, and then we got 201 created. So this is proper RESTful response, because of course it's not a 200. Okay, it's a 201 created, and also beautifully, if you look at the HTTP spec, with a 201 you should also expect to have a location header in the response showing the location of the newly created resource, which is of course this headers item here. This headers resource. Okay, and it also will give us in the body, it doesn't have to, but it gives us in the body that thing that we've just created. So as you can see here, we've got a header with this sort of, what's it called, header 2, and we've got the items with D and C and D. So there we go. So there's a deep insert, and let's just prove to ourselves that, we've got it here. Let's prove to ourselves that it really is a deep insert. If I now look in headers, we've got the 3 headers. I did header 1, header 2, and I did header 2 again, didn't I? And we can also look at items, lots of items, lots of children, but notice that the parents are different pairwise. So these two have got parents beginning 5FBC, these two BB02, and these two have got parents C075. So if I go back to headers and say, for example, and this is where it sort of makes sense to think about, or makes more sense to me at least, to think about the navigation property being in lowercase, right? Expand equals items. There we go. We got a nice deep insert that's happened. So there's an example of deep insert, and there's an example of an example of an example, a meta example, as in how I think it would be really nice to share examples. So there we go. Run that. Curl -s. There's the output. And I like assuming that you've got curl and JQ, because you should have command line of the future and so on. But now let's quickly, in the last 2 minutes of this thing, let's delete a particular header. Okay, so if we go back to here and let's bring that back in. There we go. Now, there we go. There's the header. In fact, why don't we copy? Why don't we copy this thing? There we go. I've copied the new line. I don't want to copy the carriage return new line. I'll just copy that bit there. Copy that. And now we can say curl. Well, let's do this, right? Let's do this. Curl HTTP localhost 4004 main. I also like main rather than catalog. I never like catalog. I don't know why, but anyway. Headers. oh yes, and then question mark, and then we also need to escape the dollar actually. Expand equals items JQ, and then we'll just grab the value actually. There we go. So we've got all these different things here. There we go. La, 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 la. So now if we say curl minus x deletes to make a delete request, delete operation as well, I suppose. Local host 4004 main headers. Oh, and paste that thing in. In fact, let's have verbose as well. Let's have a bit bigger. Ooh. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, of course. The brackets shell wants a quotes around it. There we go. So we get a 204, no content. Okay, not no contest, no content. But now when we look at the output, we get one. We should have one less, right? There we go. But let's look at that in the browser as well. It might be easier. Let's go back here and look in here. We had, let's make that smaller. Is this okay? Size okay? 1, 2, 3. Let's refresh. 1, 2. Right. So we've deleted a header, but we're only expanding items. So this isn't yet proof that those items have disappeared. If we now go back and look at the items, we should only have 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there we go. There's a deep insert and a deep delete because of composition. If we'd done that with association, if you create some books and some authors and have the associations, and you go and delete a book, for example, or delete an author, the books associated with that author are not deleted because it's an association rather than a composition. There we go. Right. Okay. So yeah, please fork that repo. Start contributing, even if it's just a simple sort of, documentation, spelling mistake fixes, whatever, improvements. This is your repo. I mean, Gregor created it, but it's for us, right? So let's do it. Okay. We got oh my god, 8:37 already. I do talk a lot. I'm sorry. I want to think about. Oh, here we go. David saying, if you want to see what's happening on the database, you can set the environmental. Yes, debug equals true. Exactly. That is on the. I'm pointing over here on my screen. Let me bring it back. Shall we do that? Let's try that. If somebody's going to suggest something on the stream, I should do it. How do I get my thing there? What's going on? Oh, there we go. Right. Okay. So if I now say here, let's get rid of that. We don't want that anymore. But we'll go here and say debug equals true. Is that what you were meaning, David? I think it is, because of course we can set the environmental variable for that particular execution. So let's do that. And now say, let's go down here and say, ooh, there we go. Already, if I make this smaller and say recalculate, there we go. In fact, maybe if I, there we go. That's nicer, isn't it? So let's do that again. Let's just do a create. Should we try that? Woo, there we go. Nice. Thank you, some programming dude, brackets, David. So that is awesome. Really nice way to find out what's going on. And also, I've used this in the past to figure out where in the Node.js code base these things are actually being done, because then I can start debugging and learn from all the amazing people who have built this Node.js stuff. So Francis, welcome Francis. You work for SAP. A number of us work for SAP. I work for SAP now. I'm very proud to work for SAP. I've not been at SAP for long. I've worked with SAP software for about 33 years. Joined SAP last year. Really enjoying it. And there's a few people. There's a few people here who also may work with. Do work with SAP. I know that there's some people here. QMacro, does Francis 3745? Do you work for SAP, Francis? And anyway, welcome anyway. So what I want to think about is what I took away from TechEd, especially TechEd Barcelona, which was BTP, Business Technology Platform. So cloud platform, you could almost think of it as a rebranding or a a different way to think about Cloud Platform in that it is a platform as a service for business stuff, for integrations, for extensions, for new applications, and so on. Yes, I work as. Sorry, yes, thank you, Ronnie. That is completely correct. I should have expanded. I work in developer relations as a developer advocate. So this is part of what I enjoy doing, sort of reaching out to developers, and the developers in the community are awesome. So it's a brilliant job, and we help developers get started and dig in and learn about various SAP technologies and software. Well, thank you, Ronnie. I'm pretty good at talking, I guess, as Pill for Z said, which is, I think it's nice. Related to developers. Anyway, I'm going to carry on talking and say that one thing I will start looking at, and we did look at this in a few episodes in the past when I was at Utrecht, I think, on workflow. I want to start looking at playing around with some of the business services on Cloud Platform. I've played around with workflow. I played around with business rules, which I want to look at very briefly now, and start that journey, which I'll explain in a minute. But also other things like localization, tax services, for example, and just learn with you what it actually means as a developer to think about the business technology, think about the Cloud Platform as a business technology platform. So one thing that I want to say up front is that maybe like you, I'd love to hear from you, maybe like you, I'm starting thinking about the business technology platform from a similar place, which is in the Neo environment. So I've been playing around with Portal and workflow and business rules and all sorts of different things in Neo, because of course that's where these services were originally available and are still available in trial, right? A lot of those services have been migrated and are also available now in Cloud Foundry. But rather than jump straight in to using the services magically suddenly on Cloud Foundry where everything is set up, I want to go through that journey with you and work out sort of live, making mistakes, how to redo my brain and re-access the services that are now on Cloud Foundry and go through that journey. But before we do that, I just want to sort of have a play around with and remind myself of maybe where we want to get to in Cloud Foundry. I'm going to pick, for example, business rules, which I played around with. I gave a talk at UI5Con in 2018? 2017? I don't know. On business rules, specifically to do with the business rules UI components for UI5. I got to play around with the business rules APIs. So I'm just going to quickly look at the, I keep pressing it, at the API Business Hub, because I think that's quite a nice way to, it's always a nice place to start to understand what these business services are about. Another way, of course, is to start with the Cloud Platform Cockpit and have a look at the services available. But let's start from underneath and start hacking around. Maybe start hacking around. I did very briefly this morning because I thought, rather than you watch me type stuff in, I've just created this context, this API context. But anyway, let me stop rambling and say business rules. So there's all sorts of stuff here. There's API packages, there's business rule packages. What I want to look at are APIs. And there's SAP Cloud Platform business rules. I've no idea what loyalty rules are. SAP loyalty marketing. I'm very encouraged by the fact that it's a REST API, but anyway. So yeah, we're going to explore this together. We're just seeing what Max has said. The SAP 5 years ago is probably not the same SAP. Well, yes, I mean, SAP is evolving all the time, but I mean, I think it's fair to say that in the past few years, that evolution has been accelerating in the right direction as well. Turning itself inside out, open source, using tools, for example, with CAP. One of the brilliant things is that we're not trying to reinvent anything that's not necessary to invent. So, for example, we use NPM as the package solution, and also other things as well. But anyway, yeah, SAP is a great place to be from a developer perspective. Okay. So SAP Cloud Platform business rules. 845. Okay, we've got some time. SAP Cloud Platform business rules. we get here, okay, showing 6 of 6 APIs. And really, I had a brief look at this early this morning before the OBS Catalina panic, but it literally was about 5 minutes. And the last time I looked at this was a year ago, 2 years ago. But it seems now that we have 6 of these tiles because we've got Cloud Foundry. So rule authoring for Neo, rule execution API for rule authoring, rule execution for Neo, and also for Cloud Foundry. Okay, and it looks like as well there's been some, or there is now a deprecated version of the execution API for Neo. And also for Cloud Foundry. Okay, so the execution API across both environments has been deprecated. Version 1 is deprecated. We now have version 2. So why don't we have a look at version 2, rule execution or rule authoring? Let's have a look at. Well, let's see. Let's go for rule execution. Oh my goodness me! Yes, this rings a bell. So this is sort of generated. If you've not been to the API Business Hub, this is almost like the heart. The technical heart of a lot of what I suppose the business technology platform represents, which is the APIs that we as developers can use, right? You would rather call it a revolution? Yeah, Ronnie. Actually, I think the evolution is so the force of evolution is so strong that we call it a revolution. There we go. Oh, I see. I understand why you're saying about the SAP 5 years ago. So, Francis, you put a job application in 5 years ago. Seriously, it has changed a lot. It was pretty cool 5 years ago, but it's even cooler now. And when I say cool, I don't mean like I'm an idiot. It's cool, but it really is pretty awesome. There's all sorts of things to learn and to hack around with and build with. It's just pretty cool. Working rule definitions. I just want to get something. Working set rule definitions. Now, if you haven't played around with business rules, I think probably, maybe, I'm sure Ronnie would do it, but let's just try youtube.com. I don't know why this underscore thing is going to. youtube.com, DJ Adams UI5Con business rules. I'll put this link in the chat because this, there we go. Diving into SAP rules.ui library, don't start please, stop. But this is the URL that I want to paste into the chat. Who's that idiot there? Oh, it's me. Into this chat here. This, if you watch this, it's partly about the UI5 components, but it also gives you a good background, which will help for the next live stream, into some of the business rules mechanisms, okay, and concepts and APIs. So, if you get a chance, have a look at that, because it's probably helpful. So let me just go back one. One of the things here is that we have this authoring API and execution API. So the difference is that you author business rules, you create business rules, and you run business rules. And of course, through separation of concerns and for other reasons, these two things are different. You might want somebody who can author business rules but can't execute them. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So that's why there are two APIs. And I think that is a pattern that is common across different API types or different APIs within the API Hub. Is there a rules implementation at XSA2? There is. I mean, there's a. I don't know where it is off the top of my head, but there is a really nice diagram of business orchestration, how that fits in, and how the different engines work at the cloud platform level, at S4HANA, at ECC, and also XSA, right? And it also, I think, talks a little bit about the HANA rules framework and the business rules framework as well, and explains, if I remember rightly, explains what to use where and what the roadmap is, and what's right to use, what's not right to use anymore, and so on. If you have a look at any content output from, there's three people I'm going to say, Christian Loos, Archana Shukla, and also Stefan Schluchter. So, in fact, let me write those names there. Christian Loos, Archana I think that's the surname spelling, and CH. I think that's the Shukla. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So yeah, check out some stuff from them. There's all sorts of blog posts on the SAP community, and I'm sure you'll find that diagram. But anyway, going back to this very briefly. Again, let me know in the comments as well, in the chat. I still have this sort of struggle with, is an hour enough? An hour is never enough, right? But of course, I know that you folks have meetings straight after this, and you've got other things to do. You've got to get on with your life and everything. I know a lot of my fellow live coding streamers do a lot more than an hour. But of course, and I could do more than an hour. I could bloody code live stream all day, but would that be useful to you? I don't think so. So if more than an hour would be useful, I think we did have a discussion about this before. I can't remember what we said. So let me know. Thank you, Sitoki. I guess that's a non-native German speaker. Yes, that's me. So rule authoring and rule execution. What we were looking at rule execution, weren't we, for version 2. So there's a sandbox environment that's available for some APIs in this API hub. But I've also managed to configure an environment that I've called I347491, that's me, trial, okay? Let me have a look. Let me show you what that actually is. So basically, I've created an environment which is a set of configuration which points to my stuff. This particular thing, of course, is Neo related. Like I said, I want to take you on the journey, my journey from going from Neo to Cloud Foundry and setting it all up there. 8-hour live streams, yes. I might do that one day and see what happens. Just work live. I don't know. Would that be a thing? I think that is a thing. So what you do here is you specify your trial name, and I'm sure your P blah 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 trial, or your S blah 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 trial, or your I, SAP trial, and the provider account name and the consumer account name is your trial name, and the provider account name is BPM. If you go and look at the destinations in Neo. Destinations, can I just go straight there? Yes. The power of Chrome, and also the power of using fixed, well-known, cool URIs don't change style URIs for URLs for Cockpit. It would be nice if they changed around this so we could see the most significant part of the title, not the least significant. Are you listening? But anyway, so if you look at, for example, all the BPM related destinations that get created automatically when you subscribe to the BPM, when you subscribe to the Business Rules service, you will see that a number of destinations are set up, and you can see that there the BPM is the provider for that particular service. Okay, it's the account that provides that subscription that you can subscribe to. Oh, thank you, Gregor. What a superstar. It's Schluchter, not Schluchter. Okay, yes, of course. No, double dots. What's double dots? I can't remember. My brain's dead. Okay, so that is how you create your starting URL. Stick that BPM in there. Stick your username trial in there, and the resulting URL. Make sure you select the starting URL, which is HANA trial. I think the default, it's because it's top of the list, sort order, is AP1, Asia Pac 1. Make sure you specify HANA trial, and then the resulting URL, which you can't read here, is the right one. So it's BPM rules runtime BPM I347491 trial in my case. .HANA trial. Blah, 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 blah. Right. I've chosen basic authentication, and I've chosen username and password. I assume it's not going to show it, but I'm not going to scroll down and see. And there we go. So now I can. I'll save that. I've not changed it, but I'll save it anyway. Now I can, for example, try out this API here in this sort of API hub, and we'll also try it out on the command line shortly. If I say try out and execute, we get a response, a 200 response. Now this is actually, these things don't mean anything to you, but these things mean things to me, because I think this was when I set some demo up for, goodness me, Sapphire 2018. Well, there you go. There's a nice proof that your business rules don't sort of disappear into the ether if you don't use them. They're still there. That's interesting. Created on that looks very much like the as if this entity has been enhanced or decorated by the managed aspect of CAP. Maybe they've changed the back end. I don't know. I don't remember seeing these before, but those are exactly the 4 properties, are they not? Some programming dude that you get when you use the managed aspect from SAP CDS Common. Anyway, so we can start trying out these APIs. I'm going to try this out actually in the command line and see what else we have to do. User managed service, exactly. So let me bring that into there, and let's just create a new window for now. Let's go into temp, and this is the I've copied too much there, but that's the URL we want to try. So I'm going to now say curl and see if we can access this through the command line. So what I'm doing here is, well, I've no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just feeling my way back into playing around with the API and seeing what it gives me. So the working set rule definition, if you have a look at the business rules documentation, there are different components that make up an entire business rules service that you might put together, okay, for a given application. And a working set is a combination of lots of different things. When we, maybe next time, when we look at the business rule manager, which is a UI5 powered interface for defining business rules and authoring business rules, manually, you'll see how this working set spreads out into lots of different components. And in fact, if you watch that video on YouTube, I think I show it there as well. Anyway, I'm going to see what happens when we do that. Okay, we get what looks very much like some SAML request, so I'm not authenticated. So of course I can I347491 put a user ID in there, which will prompt me for a host password, which I'll do. That's one way to do it. Another way to do this, by the way, if you're playing around with this a lot, is to use the power of netrc. Look up netrc. I'm not going to show you what's in that file because it's local only to me, only me rewritable, and it's got various authentication details for host names. So curl will honor a .netrc implementation and use credentials from there. As long as you say use .netrc or something. I can't remember how to do it, but anyway, that's the way to do it. But anyway, let's just do that again, and let's just see what it gives us, right? Yeah, so we get exactly the same thing there. So I guess it's almost time. I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this, but there we go. We'll start slowly, and I think the aim over the next few live stream episodes is to get the business rules service up and running on Cloud Foundry eventually, and then use that business rules service, consume it from a simple CAP application. So the CAP application, so CAP will remain as a backbone because it's it's useful for everything. We can create applications. We can I'd like, for example, given that some programming dude is on here as well, I would love, for example, to start the enterprise messaging and have some events, playing around with some events with CAP, because that looks absolutely awesome. It should have been called Castle Grayskull. Yes, you're right. So yeah, that's over the next, I'm going to say over the next 5, 6 or 7 live streams, I want to get to a stage where we're calling an authored business rule service from CAP in Cloud Foundry. And then we can start to feel what it really means to think about the cloud platform as a business technology platform. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get business rules working first, because I want to show that journey. I mean, Gregor, I agree with you, but I want to show the journey from where I am right now with Neo, which is where all my business rules are, and getting those up and running on Cloud Foundry, because I think that journey is a journey. Let me know, but I think that journey is a journey that many people will have before them, in front of them. Good morning, good morning. Oh, you just come in to say good morning, and thank you for joining. But we're finishing now. It's 9 o'clock. An hour's gone, so thank you so much for joining. That's been brilliant, and thank you for putting up with all this talking. I hope you have a great day. Have a brilliant CAP Code Jam in Munich, and a great Inside Track Munich as well. Thanks, and /NEX. Goodbye from me.